What is happening, guys? Hope you're all having a great day out there. So today I got a mock draft for you guys. Going to be going through 5 rounds. I did trade back in the first round, so it's going to total out to 8 total picks. I could go into the 6th round and make those picks in the 6th round, but it would just make this way too long a process, and honestly, I'm not very familiar with those guys at the moment that are going to be taking in the 6th and 7th rounds. For this mock draft, I use the Draft Network's Mock Draft Simulator. It's a great simulator to get a feel for where these guys are going to go in the draft in April. If you guys want to give this a go for yourself, just head on over to the Draft Network's website and you can do a mock draft there. Highly recommend it. Alrighty, so to start here with the 3rd overall pick, I traded back with the Eagles. So they gave me the 6th overall pick, the 37th overall pick, the 84th overall pick, and a 2022 second round pick in exchange for the 3rd pick. So we got an extra 2, an extra 3, and an extra 2 for 2022. I'm sure I could have got more in that trade, but you guys will see I more than got a great haul here with those picks. So to start here, with the 6th overall pick, I was lucky enough. I got Jamar Chase here, and Jamar Chase here obviously is the best wide receiver in this draft. He can do it all. Everything he does on the field is at an elite level, and if the Dolphins were to take him in the top 10, I think he'd come in right away and be the number 1 option in this offense. That's the kind of player he is. He's great after the catch. I love the way he runs his routes. He goes up and wins contested catches very consistently, and Jamar Chase is just going to be an elite receiver in the NFL, and he'll be an awesome target for Tua in this offense, or Deshaun Watson. You never know what's going to happen, but Jamar Chase, you can't go wrong. He's just, the perfect package at receiver. So, onto the 18th overall pick, I took Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, the linebacker out of Notre Dame. He might be a bit small for what the Dolphins like from their linebackers. He's 6'2", 215 pounds, but, he plays like a 230-pound linebacker. Similar to Jamar Chase, he's an absolute freak, just the way he flies around the field. His closing speed is off the charts, plays with great physicality. He's tremendous rushing the quarterback. He's great in coverage. Just Owusu-Koramoah would be an absolute perfect piece for this defense because he'd be able to play all over. He can play on the line of scrimmage. He can play at inside linebacker. He can play some sub-package safety, strong safety. He can do it all. And he's just an elite linebacker that can elevate a defense as soon as he steps on the field. He reminds me a lot of Darius Leonard that the Colts took 3 years ago. Darius Leonard has a similar frame. I think Darius Leonard was about 6'2", 220. So I think that Owusu-Koramoah could have a similar impact to Darius Leonard. That's the kind of linebacker I think he has the potential to be in the NFL. You guys have got to check him out. He flies around the field like a fast wide receiver. It's awesome to watch, and he'd be a perfect piece for this Brian Flores defense. So onto the 36th overall pick, I took Javonte Williams, the running back out of North Carolina. Just watching more of Javonte, he might be my favorite running back in this draft. Don't get me wrong, I love Najee Harris. I think Najee Harris is an absolute freak, but Javonte Williams, man, I love the package he brings to the field. He plays with awesome physicality. He's a tackle-breaking machine. He's a cross between a Nick Chubb and an Alvin Kamara. No joke. I mean, I'd even take him with the 18th overall pick. That's how high I am on Javonte. He plays with great burst. He can pass protect. He can catch the football. He can get to the outside and make it happen. He's tremendous between the tackles. He'd be perfect for this offense. He'd take a load off Tua or whoever our quarterback's going to be. But Javonte, I would love him on the Dolphins, and I took him here with the 36th overall pick. So, onto the second rounder, we got from the Eagles in the trade the first round. With the 37th overall pick, I took Creed Humphrey, the center out of Oklahoma. Humphrey, the best center in his class. He'd be an awesome anchor and offensive lineman in the middle of this offensive line. He's an absolute brick wall in pass protection. He's a former wrestler, so he plays with awesome leverage. He doesn't play with a ton of athleticism. I mean, he doesn't really get to the second level as much. Didn't really see him do it too much at Oklahoma, but I think he's capable of that. I think he's a underrated athlete for a center. He's exactly what the Dolphins are looking for from a center, and I think he could be our starting center for the next 10 years. Creed Humphrey. I probably could have taken him later on in the second round, but decided to gobble him up because he's exactly what the Dolphins need on this offensive line. So on to the 50th overall pick, the Dolphins' 3rd pick in the second round. I took Joe Tryon, the edge rusher, out of Washington. I'm a big fan of Tryon's game. 6'4", 250 pounds. I really think he just brings the full package as an edge rusher. He plays with great length, just great get off, great strength. You can just tell he's got the talent and the instincts to get to the quarterback. he'd be a perfect prospect to learn behind Emmanuel Ogbah and Shaq Lawson and Van Ginkel. Joe Tryon would be a perfect edge rushing addition to this defense. So onto the third round with the 81st overall pick. I took safety Talanoa Hufanga out of USC. Similar to Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, he brings great versatility to the football field. He played safety and linebacker for the Trojans, but this is just a guy that you can tell has got tremendous talent and instincts out there on the field. He's a tremendous physical tackler. He's got good instincts in coverage. He does a great job covering tight ends, running backs, whoever's coming over the middle of the field. Talanoa Hufanga, he decided to come out early for USC, but just like Owusu-Koramoah, he'd be a perfect versatile piece for this defense because he could play anywhere. He could play linebacker, he could play safety, strong safety, free safety. He can really do it all, and yeah, I think that Brian Flores definitely will be a big fan of Talanoa in this process, the pre-draft process, and yeah, just an awesome physical, instinctive player that would be perfect for this defense. Alrighty, so on to the 84th overall pick, the third rounder we got from the Eagles in the trade. I took Dyami Brown, the wide receiver out of North Carolina, and he's just an awesome deep threat, but a guy that's also got great route running over the middle. He plays at great speed, great get-off. He's definitely got elite agility, but the thing that I like most from Dyami Brown is his ability to get open deep. He did it consistently at North Carolina. He's a dynamic athlete, and I think that he'd be a nice piece for this offense to complement guys like Jamar Chase and Devontae Parker, and possibly if we bring in a guy like a Corey Davis or Kenny Golladay. We'll see what's going to happen in free agency. I'm going to be doing a video on free agency now, especially after guys like Allen Robinson and Chris Godwin got tagged. I'm going to be doing a video on free agency guys that the Dolphins are definitely going to be targeting next week. But yeah, Dyami Brown would be a great piece for this offense because he can play in the slot, but he's great at getting open deep, and that's exactly what Tua likes to do with his receivers. He loves to throw deep. He loves guys that get open deep, and Dyami Brown would be exactly that. So onto the fourth round here, the 123rd overall pick. I took Tedarrell Slaton, interior defensive lineman from Florida. He's 6'5", 360 pounds. So this guy is an absolutely huge unit in the interior of the defense, and that's a component of this team we're definitely missing at the moment. We've got Zach Sealer, Christian Wilkins, and Raekwon Davis. Tedarrell Slaton would help tremendously to fill out the depth on the interior of the defensive line, but yeah, this guy's an absolute unit. Despite being 360 pounds, he gets after the quarterback consistently, and I think he'd be an absolute terror in the center of this Dolphins defensive line. He can play nose tackle, but he can also get after the quarterback from anywhere on that defensive line. He'd be great depth behind those guys I just mentioned. This is a very talented football player that I think could develop into something in the future. Tedarrell Slaton out of Florida would be great in this defense. So that's it for my picks in this draft. I could have gone on to the 6th round, but in my opinion, I think it would have just been way too watered down because, yeah, I'm not really familiar with these guys, but all these guys I've drafted here, I've watched a ton of their tape, and I know that they'd be great for the Dolphins on offense and defense, and they'd make an impact their first year, definitely. Jamar Chase, the best wide receiver, I think from the get-go, depending if we add some guys in free agency, I think that Jamar Chase from the get-go would be the number one option in this offense. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, just an absolute war daddy of a linebacker. He'd be an awesome elite piece in this defense. Javonte Williams is a clone of Nick Chubb, just a great, talented, and physical elite running back that would elevate this offense definitely from the get-go. And honestly, Javonte may be the best running back in this class. Creed Humphrey with the 37th overall pick out of Oklahoma, the best center. He would help to fill a need for us at center. But who knows, we might just sign a guy like a Mark Andrews or Ted Karras to fill that role, but Creed Humphrey would be everything we want from a center. On to the 50th overall pick, Joe Tryon out of Washington. Very talented edge rusher that would be an awesome guy to learn behind Ogbah and Lawson and Van Ginkel. 81st overall pick, Talanoa Hufanga. Talented, versatile, you can just tell this guy's a football player. The 84th overall pick, Dyami Brown out of North Carolina. He knows how to get open. He plays at great speed. He'd be a great receiver to add to the wide receiver room and just elevate the talent along with Jamar Chase. And the last pick here, Tedarrell Slaton out of Florida. You guys are going to check him out. He's an absolute force in the middle of that Florida defense. He'd be a great depth piece for the Dolphins, along with Sealer and Wilkins and Davis. He'll be able to do a number of things for this Brian Flores. Multiple defense and defensive line. So that's it for this mock draft, guys. Let me know what you think of my picks here. Let me know if you would have made that trade with the Eagles. I know I definitely could have got more, moving back 3 slots there, but as you can see, I filled a number of needs this team has. And I think that if the Dolphins were able to pull off a draft like this, we could definitely win 12 to 13 games next season, or 11. We'll see what happens, depending. You've got to be lucky in the NFL. Sometimes injuries can derail you, but, if we stay healthy next season, I think we can definitely win 2 or 3 more games. And adding these guys will elevate the talent level of the offense and the defense, and would only just turn us into a much better contender in the AFC. Alrighty, guys. As always, it's fins up, baby. Cheers, guys.